The 9-month battle between Harvard University and the White House is coming to a close. The federal government will restore their funding to private Ivy League schools on the condition that they funnel a sizable chunk of that money into trade certifications and workforce development in their home states. If you've ever wanted to spend $346,820 to become a welder, now is your chance. But in all seriousness, let's dive into what's going on here, because there are 3 reasons why politicians have become obsessed with restoring the trades lately, and why they're trying to use America's oldest and richest schools to do it. The first reason is because the supply chain shock of 2020, coupled with an increasingly collapsing entry-level job market, has shown just how fragile the United States' manufacturing power has truly become. Compared to the rest of the developed world, the United States has been pretty hands-off with how businesses and schools conduct themselves, sometimes putting out incentives, federal funding, and bailouts when deemed necessary, but mostly allowing organizations to maximize profits as they see fit. So, over the past century, the American economy has become extremely adept at maximizing profits above all else, which has meant replacing as many factory workers with robots as humanly possible, shipping factory jobs that we can't replace with robots overseas, and then buying all our stuff back from Asia at a steep discount. Which is all fun and games until #unprecedented times bring the global supply chain to a near standstill, and you realize that the United States doesn't actually make its own shoes, and that virtually all of our young adults were trained to do office jobs because that's where employment actually exists in this country. And leads us to the second reason why our politicians have become so obsessed with the trades lately: long-term national security. It's no secret that the United States and China aren't exactly best friends. And while trying to invade North America would be one of the most strategically stupid mistakes a foreign military could possibly make, they also don't have to in order to cripple us. In terms of monetary value, China controls a third of the world's manufacturing, and the US alone imports nearly $500 billion worth of goods from China every year, operating at a $300 billion trade deficit. And while China is happy to take our money in exchange for American flag-themed t-shirts on Temu for the time being, there's something that could cause our entire trade relationship with China to collapse: Taiwan. Recent land invasions by Russia and Israel have proven to the world that developed nations are not so keen on supporting their allies if that means starting World War III. And so if China did choose to invade Taiwan, Mongolia, or Siberia, it's unlikely that the US, EU, or anyone else would directly step in order to stop the invasion, and would instead use embargoes, asset freezing, and the supplying of weapons in order to fight a financial war at a distance. And while this seems unlikely, the past 5 years have taught us that nothing is impossible, and that the US and China's trade relationship could quite plausibly collapse overnight, leaving us without the manufacturing power necessary to clothe, furnish, or medicate our own people, because we simply don't have the factories needed to make our own stuff, and we simply don't have the workforce with the skills required to run those factories either. Our endless pursuit of maximizing profits over the past century has shipped virtually all of our manufacturing jobs overseas and heavily disincentivized 18-year-olds from going into the trades. But the third reason why the federal government wants wealthy universities to run their own trade schools is because the government has just been historically bad at regulating schools themselves. Something I did a whole video on, so I'm not going to rehash it here, but I have linked down in the description if you would like to watch it next. You might be surprised to learn that the Trump administration has actually been closing down job training and vocational centers for a while now, and has been slashing funding to programs that place career readiness resources into high schools to get students into the trades, which, full transparency, is a job that I personally had for my first year out of grad school. But this isn't just outright hypocrisy on the government's fault. There are real reasons why they want to shut these programs down. Federal vocation centers and career readiness grant programs are riddled with corruption and poor outcomes issues across the United States, while private schools and state universities, by contrast, are far more statistically effective at funneling students into job job opportunities upon graduation, because they have long established and expansive networks of industry partnerships. And is why some economists, like myself, will make the case that four-year universities arguably control the entry-level professional job market in the US. But again, that is a separate video which I have already made and linked in the description. Simply put, the federal government partially wants Ivy League schools to fund the trades because they know that Ivy League schools will do a much better job at it. But all of this presents us with a dilemma, something of a catch-22 when it comes to funding the trades in the US. The United States of America, long-term, needs more manufacturing facilities and tradesmen operating on American soil. But the current American job market does not really need more tradesmen relative to other industries. We have far greater needs for workers in business, trade, education, and healthcare than we do in manufacturing. So that's what schools are going to focus on, and that's what students are going to go into. And while everyone technically needs plumbers, welders, and electricians for society to operate, we don't need enough of them right now to justify an immediate push towards the trades at the national level. So one of three things is going to have to happen. Either the US government itself is going to need to fund trade programs housed within universities as something of a form of long-term insurance, like we're probably seeing with this Ivy League deal, or the US government needs to actively sabotage global trade relations, like we're potentially seeing with tariffs, to incentivize companies to reshore manufacturing jobs, but at the likely cause of throwing us into another Great Depression in the process in order to do so. Or US business owners need to have a sudden change of heart where they choose to manufacture products on American soil despite it being more expensive to do so, which, let's be real, probably isn't going to happen. But again, those are other videos, so let's bring it back to these so-called Ivy League trade schools. Brown University has already committed $50 million to support workforce development in its home state of Rhode Island. However, it's giving that money to other organizations in Rhode Island that already do workforce development, and not creating new trade certifications itself. It's a common misconception that Ivy League schools are so good at job placement because they just have a bunch of smart students who are really good at, like, writing resumes. But that's not at all the case. Ivy League schools are so successful because they have insanely strong ties to some of the wealthiest and most powerful businesses across various industries. So long as you have the baseline skills to do an entry-level professional job, then there's a good chance that you'll get hired somewhere like Google or Goldman Sachs if you have a degree from Harvard, even if that degree was in something completely unrelated like art history. The industry connections are just that strong. But problem is, Ivy League schools have never had to form strong ties with industries that predominantly hire tradesmen. And it's unclear if aspiring plumbers would even choose to go to Harvard for their certification to begin with, even if tuition was significantly lower for them. Because, let's face it, while being a plumber pays more than working at McDonald's, it does not pay more than being an investment banker. So it's not an attractive option for students who are already admitted into Harvard. And as someone who spent half a decade doing blue-collar jobs in the rural Rocky Mountains, I can assure you that we would have relentlessly bullied a welder who went and got their certification from Harvard. Or, you know, anyone who went to Harvard at all, because that's just human nature. And I'm fairly certain that none of these politicians who want Harvard to host trade degrees have ever worked on a real blue-collar worksite in their lives to begin with. But I digress. There is a great irony happening here that I need to point out. If Ivy League schools have to use part of their federal funding to support the trades, doesn't that just mean that the federal government is still supporting the trades? Like, if you're some Joe Schmo voter who just wants decreased federal spending, then you're not actually getting what you want here. If the federal government is giving Harvard billions of dollars in exchange for them funneling a few hundred million of that into the trades, then that just means taxpayer dollars are still funding those programs while using Harvard as a middleman to do it. Which, like, I'm cool with, in theory, but I'm not optimistic about how this is going to actually play out. So watch this video next to understand the history of how government intervention and our obsession with job training in schools has been a repeated disaster. Because this isn't the first time the US president has tried to tell schools what to teach. I will see you over there.